Right, so Raksha Bandhan is one of the biggest Indian festivals celebrated across different parts of the country where sisters tie Rakhi to their brothers. Now, brothers give different gifts like cash, dresses, etc. But this time, rather than following these traditional ways of gifting your sister, why not try something modern and new, and which can also help in creating wealth? You can think of giving financial gifts to your sisters and securing her a financial future. But what kind of these gifts would exactly be right for your sister, and how can you help them creating wealth? What are the tax implications behind these financial gifts? Let's decode all of this. I have with me Anthony Heredia, Managing Director, CEO, Mahindra Manulife Investment Management; Gautam Kalia, Senior Vice President and Head Super Investor at Sherkhan by PNP Paripa. Good evening and welcome to the show. So, Anthony, first question to you. Do you celebrate Raksha Bandhan? And if you do, how do you celebrate? And if you don't, we will still talk about gifting. And because gifting is a very important concept, you know, talking about Indian festivals and occasions. And keeping that in mind, the role of financial gifts that can be played. Anthony.
Yeah, hi Kavita, good evening. So Raksha Bandhan, I think for any Indian is a festival that one celebrates irrespective of background. And I remember right from childhood this being something that my sister looked forward to, because in a lighter vein, it's the only time she got something from me. Through the rest of the year, it was always, me taking things. But more importantly, I think for me, it's always represented reinforcing a bond between siblings. So I think that to me is the biggest significance. I don't recollect financial gifting outside of giving cash, but I do think that in today's day and age, financial gifting in different forms, in terms of actually gifting someone the start of a thought process of investing and so on and so forth, can be a very, very powerful thing.
All right. But Anthony, having said that, since you just mentioned that you've been celebrating Rakhi since childhood, so according to you, what's have been the best gift that you have gifted your sister? I mean, ideally, this question should have been for her, but then, some story, if there is any, behind any of your Raksha Bandhans and gifting your sister.
So I think what would have meant most to her outside of any material gift is frankly the promise not to fight. So I think that was probably more that came to mind, that it kind of reminded you of the relationship and wanting to be there for your sister. So there are many material things that one could think about. Obviously, as a child, you don't have access to that much money to buy something of significance. But I think more than the material gift, it kind of always gave me a sense of responsibility that I should be a lot nicer.
I think this promise note, I think, beats all the kind of gifts that we are about to suggest to our viewers. But then, having said that, Gautam, what about your Rakhi gifting stories? Do you have any?
So my Rakhi gifting story similar. I've at the most expensive thing I can think of is I gifted a bag. But I think the most invaluable gift I've given, and this is not just to my sister-in-law, to my mother, to all women in my family and extended family, has been financial advice. The problem is that they don't listen to it. That's a different issue. But I try to give them as much advice as possible when it comes to managing their money, because I think that is definitely going to help them, grow wealthy, and that they can't be a better gift than that.
Exactly. So now let's change gears and let's talk about the importance of financial gifts. And this is not limited to only Raksha Bandhan, Anthony. How do we inculcate this particular habit since childhood? How do we work on it? How do we help people understand the relevance behind having a financial gift, not only as a gift, but then something that, it's a kind of a wealth that you are giving it to them?
So before I respond to this, Kavita, this show brought to my mind one of my most precious memories in my career. I used to run marketing for a mutual fund, and I do recollect an incident that I still feel very proud about. So typically this is not Raksha Bandhan, but similar. So this is Valentine's Day, right? So typically on Valentine's Day, when you open the Times of India, you are used to the front page ad being that of a jewelry ad or something of that sort, right? Or flowers. And I remember in the company I worked in then, our advertising agency came up with a brilliant advertisement, which was front page, this is late 90s, remember. The line went, gift your loved one something which grows with time, just like love. Buy an SIP gift today. Right. And I just think that that is such a relevant message, whether you think about it from a Valentine's Day or a Raksha Bandhan perspective. Because I think, see, one is you can give all the advice in the world, but nothing works like actually experiencing it in reality, right? And so when you give an SIP, a startup an SIP, or just gift a simple equity investment to someone, especially the younger they are, the fact that you own it will automatically mean you'll want to learn more about it. And as it starts to do well for you, I think that lessons that you will pick up is invaluable. So to my mind, you may not see it that way, but you can teach someone, for example, about equity funds, power of compounding, etc., etc., etc. But actually, someone owning an equity fund, no matter how small the amount is, and seeing both the positives and the negatives and the good times and the bad times makes you start to learn and appreciate investing habits, which you can then translate for yourself, irrespective of whether somebody gifted you or not. So, to me, that is a very powerful message that can come through.
Exactly, a very powerful message. And just like love, even the wealth and the importance of compounding, if really identified and helped understand, this can really go a long way. Gautam, what do you have to say? And when we are talking about financial gifts, what would be your number one recommendation to our viewers?
So definitely, I think one of the most common gifts are jewelry and even gold coins or silver coins. That I see is something that typically happens, and that is also a form of asset, financial gift. But definitely, the gift of an SIP is, it's so many things wrapped into one, which is the experience as well as the discipline that goes with maintaining an SIP, and the feeling of ownership that you have, especially for a lot of investors, new time investors, first time investors, just getting over that threshold of taking exposure to equity is such a task that if someone else does it for you, then it becomes all the more easier to then continue it. So I completely agree there. That these are the key things, but obviously we have clients that give properties as well. So that's if you have enough wealth and money, then you can share that with family.
Right, I think there is more to your list, but then let me also switch to Anthony. And Anthony, since you have emphasized so much on having the right kind of knowledge and the right approach towards it. A lot of times there is a misunderstanding the reason why someone is gifting you. So although we are talking about financial gifts, we are talking about the benefits that one might reap in the longer term duration. There's always this instant gratification or that kind of a hope, which we can understand really well as a gift. A financial gift will not strike someone or maybe a sister as a gift. So how do we help them understand that? And what would be your recommendation also?
So, Kavita, I have a slightly different story.
Okay.
While we obviously are going to celebrate Raksha Bandhan shortly, I can just share with you that my sister and actually my father as well, and maybe because they both have worked in financial markets, for both my children, started making an investment into an equity fund on every birthday of my child, both my children, right? And to some extent, while it may not be instant gratification, I can tell you that both my children, one is now 16, the other is 12, do know that there is this investment and it is over time become quite substantial, right? And so they kind of feel confident that they're going to somehow pay for their education. Unfortunately, education is a lot more expensive than than one would expect it to be. But I think instant gratification is going to be a challenge with financial gifting for sure. Uh, but I would say that then for that, you instead of doing an SIP, even if you just made a small lump sum investment, perhaps over the next 6 months or 1 year, if the timing happens to be coincidentally right, that messaging that this wealth creation is happening becomes some sort of instant gratification. It's not the same thing as a bar of chocolate or a bag or something of that sort. But I think anything that has the ability to become far more valuable fairly quickly can take the form of instant gratification. So I think we have to accept the fact that financial gifting, particularly of investment type products, can never be instant. It's kind of contradictory to our point we make to investors about being long term. But I think the gratification reminders keep happening quite instantly, right? It's not as if you're going to get up 5 years later. Every 3 months or 6 months, there is an account statement. It reminds you what it is worth, probably motivates the child or anybody else to kind of look at it a lot more. So I think there is a gratification that happens in that form as well.
And Anthony, having said that, why are we also putting so much of thrust on beginning your investment journey? What about gratifying it for all the time you have actually invested, and that's the time maybe you have the corpus ready on you, and then you can have a gift to your sister and you can give that money to her? What do you have to say, Anthony?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, the point is that the moment you understand the role of an investment product in the world of being much more meaningful as a gift, it can take many, many forms, right? I mean, you could actually gift it to your parents, right? You don't have to do equity. You can do fixed income that has regular income and so on and so forth. So, to me, the advantage of financial gifting is you can make sure that so many different needs or aspirations are fulfilled. It doesn't have to be only one type of gifting.
Gautam, your take on this?
So, Arpita, I have a different view here.
Sure.
Absolutely, instant gratification is possible.
Okay.
And we see it doesn't all have to be mutual fund related. We see clients, let's say, putting in, like I said, gifting a property which is on rent, and the rental income is then being gifted. But in a way, the rental income is coming every month to the sister. We see clients buying the immediate annuity plan, which insurance companies offer, which is like a pension. It's like a setting up a pension for your loved one for life. So we've seen instances where while they may not be a large lump sum, but definitely structures where you can create where you get a recurring benefit almost immediately. You can do.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.